when I was 28, I knew that infidelity is playing on my mind as a thought. I just didn't feel I had grown up enough to do justice to it. I'm not somebody who can read the audiences. I have no idea about the audiences, as you can clearly see. I've been bold myself. There's so much good, so much bad constantly on. It's taken time for me to just even understand what was going on,
Hello, everyone. Today I have director and writer Shakun Batra joining me. Hello, Shakun. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
Talking about Gehraiyaan.Shakun, which is the latest, of course, release, and everybody, as I said, everybody's talking about it. There's a lot.
The chatter is mad.
Yes.
The noise is crazy. I mean, for me, it took me because there's so much good, so much bad constantly on. It's taken time for me to just even understand what was going on.
That's exactly what I want to know from you, because there's like two sides of the spectrum, and there's so much that everybody's talking about it. There's so many reviews on the internet, and people have varied opinions about various nuances that were explored in the movie. So I want to know, what's your sort of reaction right now to all of it?
Well, now I'm feeling slightly more easy. I think the first couple of days was hectic because I always wanted a conversation, but I never realized the size of the conversation and how polarized the opinions would be.
Yeah.
So first couple of days I couldn't make sense because there was a lot of love and there was a lot of hate, and I was like, what do I hold on to? What is logical and what is not? But then I think I realized that I had to learn to embrace it as one thing. This film is more than just one version of it and the other. As I said, it's just already good enough to know that people are discussing it, they're having conversation, they're not indifferent to it. It's doing something to them that they feel that they can discuss it. And some people are really watching it with a lot of attention to even discuss it, even if they have criticism. And I feel like for me, as a filmmaker, that's the most rewarding thing, that people are watching it with attention, they're discussing it. And there is enough of as I said, love and people that didn't enjoy it, that for me to now come to a place where I can be like, oh, I can take all of these things with one film. And it's so interesting to see that one film can have so many reactions. Absolutely. It's almost like people watch different things, but it's for me, that's a learning, and it's extremely kind of interesting as a filmmaker to know that it can do so many things.
So you think, Shakun, that as a filmmaker, as a writer, this is where you find your success, in grabbing so many eyeballs and, so much attention, buzz about it? Or you're like, no, when I see people loving my content, that is where I find my success?
No, not at all. I see it's, again, I think any film that either I've made or sometimes even I've enjoyed, I can always see flaws. I can see what you would do different, but there are also things that you love. There's also things that you would never change. And I feel to expect just one kind of reaction for everything you do, that's when you're playing extremely safe, And I feel like I want to grow, I want to evolve, I want to experiment, I want to try things. Yes, I work in the mainstream Bollywood, so to say, but I think it will be an extremely boring place if everyone made that formulaic assembly line safe film. I was keen to take the film into the unfamiliar territory and see what comes out of it. So I don't expect just one kind of reaction, and I think that would be very juvenile and immature if I thought like that. And not just expect. As I said, I embrace it. The good and the bad. I like all of it. I know it sounds crazy as a filmmaker, but I love that all of it together.
So tell me again, like success and happiness as a filmmaker, you think Gehraiyaan at this stage has given you that, like personally?
I think it's how you define success. If success is growth and evolving and experimenting and trying new things, that's how I define success. I think, yes, we managed to take a few steps in that direction. But if you were to talk about success as, only good things will be said about this film, then I think no, then definitely not. So for me, there's a lot of things I've absorbed. There's a lot of things I've learned. And I know that over time, as time goes by, I'll be even more objective. So for me, that is growth. And for me, growth is success. So That's why I don't like the word success. I like the word growth, because growth is non-linear. It's not that you grow in one, now two, now three, now four. Growth is unlinear. It happens over time. And I look forward to that experience, more than anything else.
Well, talking about, your earlier film, which is Kapoor and Sons,
Right.
I want to know that how easy or difficult you think as a filmmaker it is to strike that right chord of emotion with your audiences. And Kapoor and Sons is a great example of that, because whenever people think and go back and, even when I think of that moment when I was sitting in the theater and watching it, I remember myself sitting and, crying and feeling that emotion, that deep sense of emotion, and even other emotions. So how, do you see it? Like, even with Gehraiyaan, you think
Yes, I
you've
think
been able to do that?
if I can just stick to what happened in Kapoor and Sons and do the same things again and again, it may strike a similar chord, but it won't be interesting, fun for me, because then you're just making a product with the same formula,
Absolutely.
And as I said, for me, the fun and joy is in trying something new, trying something different, and that comes at the chances you take of what happens, what doesn't happen. But if you don't take those chances, then over time it becomes boring. That same formula becomes boring. But yes, there is something to be said about a film that satisfies you in a fulfilling way. And Gehraiyaan is not that, and I can tell you, because that's not even the intent. It's not. It's supposed, as a film, it's supposed to make you feel unsettled. It's supposed to make you feel anxious. So it's trying to aim at a very different emotion in you as an audience. So yes, they're two different films, and yes. So if you're expecting Gehraiyaan to do what Kapoor and Sons did, it will not, because I don't think it's meant for that. But yes, if it leaves you unsatisfied, then that's something I have to learn over time and see what I can do. As I said, the film has its own flaws, just like I think even Kapoor and Sons has its own flaws for me. So I'm not defending the flaws. I just think it's, for me, important to see what I would do differently, what I would change. But as I said, the intent of every film is different. What it's trying to do is different too.
Gehraiyaan, again, coming back to that, since that is a very hot topic now, you think that the topic of infidelity, which everybody agrees to, it is very much there, it is prevalent in the society, but why people may not be taking it in a good way right now to see it on screen, is maybe because they're a little uncomfortable with that zone. You think there's that sort of discomfort to people?
Yeah, honestly, it surprised me how many people were taking it well too. So I don't want to complain about the people who didn't take it well, because there were, people in the 50s and 60s who watched the film, and I would never imagine them to have the reaction they did. They were so accepting. They were talking about their own feelings, and, people who've been in marriages and long-term relationship, how they looked at things. And for me, that's equally exciting. Sure, I'm 100% sure there are people for whom it was still cringe, and for people for whom it was still very discomforting. But I can't go change mindsets. I'm trying to tell a story. I'm trying to reach out to an audience. And for a film like this, I accept the polarization. I accept that it can not sit well with a certain people. And infidelity is not the only thing in the film. Other things that people don't sit well with people. So.
But tell me something, I was obviously going through some reviews and reading about some reviews, and
Right.
there was this thing that came up in a couple of them, which was, having an intimacy director on board, that guy who was there for Gehraiyaan. And, there was a certain a sect of people who said that, maybe it didn't seem something different, to have her on board, or to, because the film, there was so much buzz about having her, and, this new concept of having an intimacy director on board. So, how do you take that as
Well, yes, I very early on, when I started, everyone talking about intimacy director, because I think it got picked up on Twitter, and then everyone started talking about it because a new concept. I was very early on telling people that the film is not this. I don't know why we are over discussing, but the thing is, you can't take away the questions from people who are interviewing you. You can't be like, oh, don't ask me this. So you have to answer it. But I constantly kept saying the film is more than that. The film is more than that. Now, as I said, because it's a new idea and a concept, it became talk of the town. But the film is not it's not a showreel for intimacy directing. It's not a showreel for intimacy. That's a very small part of the film.
You keep saying this, and I, have heard from you a lot also that, the film is not only about this. The film is not only about infidelity, not only about having, an intimacy director on board. If you have to, tell the audiences right now that, what is it that you think, what are the, say, 5 major things that you think, the film was about, the film is about, what would that be? Other than, of course, what has been, blown and people talking about it.
Well, I think the film very clearly is about choices that we make and like choices versus destiny. Is destiny inevitable? Can your choices break the pattern of your past, or are we going in loops? And I think now I can say these things, but in the promotions, if I said it, people will be like, "This guy's gone mad. What kind of film is this?" So for me now that I see people already kind of understanding that and talking about it, the film for me is that. And it deals. I was trying to pack in a lot. So yes, there's infidelity. There's generational trauma. There is sibling story, family story. There is father-daughter relationship. All those things. I'm trying to pack in a lot. But overall, thematically, the film is about choices versus destiny.
So if we have to basically take it from the writer and the director's, kitty, one thing that the film is about, it's about choices versus destiny, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, there's many layers to it, of course. Having, of course, a mega star like Deepika Padukone and, of course, Ananya, Siddhant and Gehraiyaan, of course, starring, and others. You think it was and, of course, having a subject like infidelity and, of course, destiny, choices, of course, all of that. You think it was the right time and the right, place to do this? Or you think you could, what do you have to say about that? Was it the right time, right place? Or you think you could have done it in the future, or maybe it would have come a little earlier, or this is the perfect sort of time and place for this?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I'm so strategic in my decision making. I try do things that are speaking to me now. So infidelity as an idea was playing on my mind for a while. I just wanted to explore it. And, I happen to be fortunate enough that the actors and my producer and this Dharma, they agreed to kind of help me on this journey. So why won't I? As I said, I can't strategically wait. Okay, when I'll be 45, maybe then it's a better time to do this. Unfortunately, I don't think in those business ways.
I asked you this specifically because I've noticed that you've said in a couple of interviews that this was a subject that was playing around your mind for a very long time. And
yeah, I'm talking about close to 10, 12 years, or maybe longer.
So now that's what I'm asking. Now you thought was the right place and the right time to actually bring this into action. And
no, I just was also, honestly, I don't know if I had the maturity at that time. When I was 28, I knew that infidelity is playing on my mind as a thought. I just didn't feel I had grown up enough to do justice to it. And after Kapoor and Sons, I felt little more comfortable. I felt like I can now go peel the layers and see how I can do it. So it wasn't that I was strategically waiting for I'm not somebody who can read the audiences. I have no idea about the audiences, as you can clearly see. I've been bold myself. So I'm not somebody who knows where the country or the audiences are. I just wait for when I think I'm ready to make it.
Having a mega star like Deepika starring in the movie, of course she has a great pull and people love her.
Yeah. No, of course. Listen, there's a version of the film which I didn't direct, Dharma didn't produce, and Deepika didn't act in. And maybe that version of the film will be loved entirely in a different way.
One thing from the movie that I want to ask you, which is out there, which is a question that has come up. There's a scene in the movie where, of course, Siddhant, he just falls in the water and in the sea. And, we see that, there's a death that is caused. So what was your sort of thinking when you were writing it? Or, some people say that, why did he have to die? Why couldn't Ananya know the truth? And, the story would have...
That true caller meme you're talking about, which I find hilarious. If Ananya had a true caller, this film wouldn't even exist, right? That one?
Yeah, maybe that one also. But the question is that why did he have to die in the movie? Why couldn't Siddhant be saved and then he had to face Ananya?
As I said, I mean, sure, there is some reality in which this ending is possible. Uh, I just, maybe I'm not imaginative enough. I don't know what to say. No, I genuinely think that these characters had to arrive at a point
Mm.
where their life went completely out of control. Because what they are doing as people is they're trying to make choices to control the outcome. And at one point, none of these choices matter because, as I said, the film is about choice versus destiny. And at one point, the choices don't matter. They just become their own thing, and I had to see people reach a point where things go completely beyond their imagination and control, and then see how would they come back and gain some control or not, you know.
And there's also a scene where, of course, after the death, Deepika faces Ananya. Of course, everybody is mourning the death of, Siddhant's character. And then there's this sort of so Deepika, of course, doesn't say the truth to Ananya as well. That what happened in the past or what was there. So you think that what was your sort of mental state at that point when you were writing it? This particular scene where Deepika doesn't confess at all. That this was the thing that had happened and whatever, and I'm really sorry about it or something. She just kind of moves on. That's what it shows.
Yeah, because I wanted to see, there are certain places in life where you haven't managed to process things clearly. You don't know if you can accept, not accept. I think she's herself coming out of a huge shock and trauma, and she can't process it so quickly. So for me, what was interesting to see how how can someone then carry the baggage of that? And all these characters are carrying the baggage of their past, right? And I feel like I wanted to see how would Alicia's character carry that baggage, and that's why in the end the question arrives: is can they let go of the past? Can they start again? And can you start again without letting go of that one big moment on your shoulder? Like you're holding it, you haven't shared it, and I wanted to kind of explore those emotions. They are kind of contradictory, heavy, and I wanted to play with those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shakun. This was an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.